having a green cover in their immediate vicinity improves their health and well-being.
Hello and welcome to the season 2 of Understanding the Future. I'm your host Punit Gandhi, and Climate Center for Cities is excited to bring to you a podcast about the future of work in the field of climate change, urban development, sustainability, and innovation. We will talk to experts working on ground as well as in the top management of government and non-governmental organizations to better understand how their field looks like in future. This will help us in preparing to enable climate actions as well as gauge the type of skill sets and jobs that would be required in future to solve complex challenges. If you are listening to it for the first time, do tune into season 1. Hello and welcome to the season 2 of Understanding the Future. I am your host Punit Gandhi, and today we have with us Dr. P.K. Joshi. He is the professor at the School of Environmental Sciences at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. He is also chairperson for Special Center for Disaster Research, and by training, he is a landscape ecologist. He uses remote sensing GIS for research related to environmental sciences. Today, in the podcast, he will help us better understand the topic of urban forests. Welcome to the show, Dr. Joshi.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Punit Gandhi. Indeed, it is a pleasure to be here and interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let's start our conversation with understanding what is forest and what is different about urban forests.
Well, forest, ecologically, if we try to define it, it is more of a natural landscapes which are full of trees, under canopies, shrubs, herbs, climbers, and whole range of life forms, including wildlife, which which exist in these natural landscapes. So they provide habitat to different kind of life forms. And unlike natural forest, urban forests are more on of a man-made kind of ecosystems, which could be defined as like networks or systems which are comprising of woodlands. It could be group of trees or even individual trees which are located in urban or peri-urban areas. So these broadly people call them as urban forest, but these could be forest, street trees, trees in the parks, gardens, and also trees which are of great concern to human beings, and they preserve them for many of the beliefs and services. But if I go with a more of a pragmatic sense, to me, urban forest is an ecological feature which provides an opportunity to the inhabitants of urban areas to come closer to nature and to have provisions to take maximum benefit out of this naturalness. And that is what I believe urban forest could be.
Absolutely. But so, from my understanding, I always thought it was a congregation of all trees together. And I would never imagine a street where trees are there that would be considered as forest as well. So I'm then assuming that there is nothing sort of that, okay, this is the density of trees that should be there. Or is there something on those lines as well that come up when we are looking or defining forests in general?
When we look at, when we do inventory of forest,
Okay.
specifically, like in country Forest Survey of India dwells into that.
Yeah.
So they define forest with a legal definition, come ecological definition,
Okay.
wherein they try to look into density classes to further classify their forest as very dense, medium dense, and open, which is
Okay.
respectively more than 70%, 40 to 70%, and 10 to 40%. But to
Okay.
best of my knowledge, when we are using this for urban forests,
Yeah.
most of the time we really don't go into that. Rather, there is a term which exists which is called as tree resource outside forest or tree
Okay.
outside forest. So
Okay.
if it is in the vicinity of urban areas, so that
Yeah.
is essentially urban.
Okay, that's very interesting and new information for me. So happy to start with that. So when we are looking at it, they surely like urban forest and especially on the ecological terms do help. Just the density or trees in general help any urban area achieve a lot of different benefits, including water harvesting, your cooling of just urban area, especially with all the concretization that happens. So how do we make sure that these remain as it is? Or let me put it in the other format, that when we are talking about urban forest, where do we put them in the picture? Do we make sure that they are congregated together, or are they specially at different spots also? They are still more helpful than not having them at all.
Okay. See, when particularly we are talking about urban forest, I will put it as a juxtapose or interspersed with urban fabric. The tree cover or the vegetation cover, which is
Yeah.
somewhere interspersed with the urban fabric. So you
Hmm.
might get a very scattered kind of distribution.
Yeah.
But as a city planner, one might look into a designated site wherein green cover has to be taken care of. It could
Yeah.
be garden, it could be, biodiversity parks which are coming in urban areas.
Yeah.
So instead of having a interspersed kind of thing or a mosaic of urban fabric and green cover, they designate a special location for that. So depending on nature or the purpose for which you are cultivating or maintaining urban forest or urban
Yeah.
green cover, so that may vary. I would prefer having it with a very close interspersed mosaic within the concrete areas, which can
Okay.
provide some locations wherein soil sealing is not there, and
True.
my vegetation is able to interact with the underground features as well.
True, true. I do agree with that. And but then coming to the biodiversity park and everything. Now, because they are man-made, uh, don't they take up much more resources? How does that function? Because you are trying to curate the whole ecosystem from the beginning.
Okay, being a landscape ecologist, I will try putting it in the perspective of scales.
Okay.
When you are looking at an
Yeah.
ecosystem can have at different scales.
Hmm.
So for me, a tree, which is habitat for many of the other life forms, which
Yeah.
often gets unnoticed, that forms a very small ecosystem with a relationship of biotic or abiotic factors.
Yeah.
So in that sense, in these green covers, they are providing that kind of opportunity
Yeah.
to have interaction of different kind of life forms. Specifically, when you look at parks or biodiversity parks, so
Hmm.
they are these designated spaces, but they do interact with many of the abiotic factors as well, which
Okay.
are part of urban centers, like
Hmm.
clean air or maybe temperature, maybe rainfall. So we don't see it as if they are in a close affinity because of the borders.
Yeah.
But over the land atmosphere interaction, they play a very important role in terms of services. So I see them as a component of urban areas.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting because for me, as a layman would put it, I would always see like this is very nice that I have now a biodiversity park where I can actually go and relax, because that would be one of the most quietest places in the city, otherwise unknown to us. Also, specifically goes with gardens and everything as well, which helps us in well-being. And what all other factors do this forest cater to when we are looking at it from the urban perspective then?
Okay, in a very economic perspective, we try to find out the prime symbols of effectiveness of a, say, city or a urban area. But I would always try to get into something invisible values, which are of
Okay.
equal importance, or which should be part of city governance as well. So
Yeah.
there could be some set of material benefits which one expects to get from these urban forests, but how's about recreation, sense of well-being, having
Yeah.
a educational value of greenery around yourself, or even landscape enhancement, plus those which could be put into tangible forms of climate modification, human comfort, and energy budgets, which are very much
Yeah.
talked about when you are talking about buildings. But if you
Yeah.
have a green cover nearby to you, your entire energy budget equation changes. Then noise reduction, erosion control, which often goes unnoticed for a urban dweller.
Yeah.
And altogether, the concept of watershed management. So
Mhm.
that is what these things give us. And for me, these are often invisible to urban dwellers. And those need to be taken account of.
True, I do agree. I do agree that obviously most of the times whenever you go to a big city, let's say Bombay, Delhi somehow has much more green cover than most of the metro cities. But let's say Bombay, the prices of houses near Sanjay Gandhi National Park would be much higher just because that is the case. But now, how do we balance out this development with forests? Because your prices are high because forests are nearby, but because you want more price over there and you want to construct more, you encroach more forest. So how can that be balanced out? How can that be made sure that that does not happen?
Well, I will slightly derive from the example which you quoted. When you
Okay.
look at NCR and
Yeah.
real estate in NCR, so at one point of time, Noida, Dwarka, Gurgaon, these were not preferred location in terms of green cover.
Yeah.
South Delhi or South X was appreciated more because of having the green cover in its close vicinity and within the urban forms.
Yeah.
So that affects even if green cover is within. But again, coming back to your comment, when you have a green cover and nearby real estate is getting enhanced, so we need to make sure that even if you know there is a need come necessity of having some settlements, urban areas, it should maintain a balance with green cover in the sense if you invest 1 unit dollar, say for example, in green cover, it returns back to you in the order of 4 to 6 US dollars. That
Okay.
is a benchmark across the world. And for very specifically for tropical countries, it is much more important. So maintaining green cover and urban fabric balance in such a way that you are able to get some services or at least desired services from green cover for sure. And once you lose it, you welcome all different type of hazards. Urban flooding is one known thing in Mumbai and
Yeah.
parts of Delhi as well. And if you see, and these are the locations wherein you don't see much of the green cover. So that kind of balancing has to be done.
True. And that you specifically mentioned that tropical area needs more of such forest. What is the reason for that?
It is more because of the degree of humidity, the degree of temperature, the kind of relationship with land atmosphere interaction has, which is
Okay.
slightly different in temperate areas or even the polar regions where you get to see lower temperature by virtue of its location on the earth, and also because of snow cover and those kind of features.
Okay. Okay. So the tropical area basically have more forest than normal, as well as tropical area needs more forest is more of a how the earth has been developed. I'll just put it that way. Okay, that's very interesting information. So while we are developing such things, what are the some of the do's and don'ts that we are so developing trees or putting trees in any ecosystem is also not always preferred. You don't want an alien species in that ecosystem. So how do we make sure that such kind of things are not there? Generally, does a city have certain guidelines, or how does what is the case scenario on those lines?
Okay, again, the research which has come in urban forest, and while developing urban forest, the care which should be taken is more about, endemic species. We should try looking at the species which are very locale specific. But because it is a urban forest, many a times you might not be able to do that always. You might like to have some ornamental plants, some exotic species
Yeah.
to bring a urbaneness to that. So while doing it, you have to select the species which can coexist with the endemic species. So
Yeah.
selection of that species is a very important pathway while developing the urban forest. But again, many a times when we talk to urban dwellers on that, So people feel as if by planting a tree, one has done everything for generating urban forest. But it is an ecosystem that I will again emphasize upon. You need a substratum, you need a platform where that tree or group of trees can grow well. So it means you need to have suitable grass, you need to have suitable shrubs, and other kind of facilities related to soil and irrigation, which can ensure that growth takes in a fashion in which natural succession takes place. So that end of the day, when it is coming to a stable state, which generally we call it as a climax state, so it is able to balance out with the pioneer ones and the ones which have come in intermediate stages. So it needs a baby care kind of thing. At each stage of development, you need to look very closely what kind of changes are happening over there, and then try to bring in species which can play much more important role for the overall growth of the forest. So that successional stages need to be monitored.
Okay. So before we get into the what we are actually discussing, I would like to go a bit more into basics of. So when we are talking about forest, we are talking about the grass at the bottom, then shrubs or small trees, and then the big trees, and then comes your animal species and everything. So can you explain in brief how each of them help each other out in the ecosystem so that we have a more clarity of thought on those lines?
Okay. See, ecosystem is all game of energy and matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So energy is sunlight. Energy are the nutrients which are coming from soil. Energy is something which is coming from water. So when you have these multiple species, multiple habits, I will call them, grass, shrubs, herbs, and trees, they play a very cooperative role. Tagore has written a poem on forest, and it calls it as a democratic space, wherein trees provide enough opportunity to sunlight to go down onto the grasses. So that kind of architecture is established so that energy and matter can, in a very harmonious or symbiotic manner, it can move around within and these individuals or actors of your urban forest. So that way one should be able to understand it.
That's a very interesting way to put it, because it's eventually when we look at it from science perspective, it is all energy and matter, and that is where I'm
Yeah,
assuming somewhere closely E is equal to mc square would also be coming into the picture.
I guess.
That's very interesting. So do you so now coming to something on the lines that do we have an understanding of generally what is the forest cover of cities that we look at it in Indian perspective, and what should be the ideal case scenario of forest cover in any city? Do we have such
Uh,
studies around those lines?
as I understand, it is with respect to per capita. You
Okay.
know, I'm forgetting the exact value, but I
Okay.
believe WHO and UNICEF has given some constants with
Okay.
respect to tree cover per capita.
Okay.
And we had done a study again in Delhi. There are some of the wards wherein you have this as per matching the requirements as defined by WHO and UNICEF.
Okay.
There are certain pockets where it probably it is. I'm very sorry that
No
number I
problem.
am missing.
No problem. That's okay. I was just curious, and I was like, okay, do we have certain basic things that we are looking at it when we are developing cities? Because as a I'm not a planner, but when you are planning the urban development, certain things also needs to be considered while taking into account development. Uh, and then so government also took out a very interesting mission of developing 200 number ones. Can you highlight a bit on that and what is it about?
Well, it was in the recent World Environment Day, which was 5th June 2020, when entire world was celebrating World Environment Day for biodiversity.
Yeah.
which was spoken as a immediate and urgent concern.
Yeah.
India took a subset of that, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change
Yeah.
focused on Nagar Vans, and it called it urban forest, which was the official theme of Environment Day for country. So herein, somewhere in 5 years back, there was one experimental plot which was done in Pune, roughly with a 40 acres of land, wherein forest was developed in a given time of 5 years, with
Okay.
somewhere around 6,000 more species were looked around, and some local small ponds were created. Taking that as a success story and a lesson, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change basically announced that the country will be having a program of Nagar One urban forest, aiming to develop 200 urban forests across the country in the next 5 years.
Wow.
And this timeline was decided based on the experience which was there. And the good thing is here, government is looking forward to scheme which enforces people's participation and collaboration between and with forest department, municipal bodies, NGOs, even corporate. So through CSR, some kind of funds will be diverted. So in totality, it is looking for any forest land in a city or vacant land, which could be converted into green cover. That is what it is calling as urban forest or Nagar One. So that is a program which government has started.
Okay, so have they like marked that okay, this proportionally this much area in every city should be converted, or at least this much area in any city should be converted into forest? How is that objective
Ah,
aligned?
yeah, those numbers are not out yet
Okay,
because we actually don't know that way very firm. But we do understand that in many of the cities or in their surroundings, there
yeah,
are either some forest lands which are without trees or some other vacant lands which are
mm,
relatively, available for afforestation activities.
okay,
So those will be utilized to generate urban forest.
okay, and okay, and currently those 200 have been selected or are under the process of selection. 200 cities,
Those are under process of
process of
selection.
selection.
Not all 200s are yet earmarked.
Okay. And I'm assuming they will give some kind of compensation in form of either planting trees or making sure that there is enough water availability or something from the municipal corporation. That might be the clause.
Yeah, y- yes. In fact, there is an act which is called as CAMPA Act. It is
Okay.
Compensatory Afforestation Fund, CAF Act, which was there in 2016. So
Okay.
that provides you enough opportunity to use finances for the kind of things which you are referring to. So it
Okay.
says that a good amount of CAMPA fund will be utilized for this activity, so
Okay.
that irrigation and if municipalities have to be strengthened, or if any kind of handholding has to be carried out at city level to ensure this program goes in a direction, anticipated direction. So CAMPA fund will be used for
Okay.
that.
Can you give a brief about that CAMPA fund or CAMPA Act as well? See, for us to understand what all things are involved in that act.
Well, in this compensatory afforestation scheme, it was referring to that any time if there is any land conversion which will be taking place
Yeah.
for different kind of development activities, if your forest land is diverted for non-forest purposes, such as mining, industry, highways, and those kind of things. So the
Yeah.
user agency which is there, it will be paying for planting forest over an equal area of non-forest land. So
Okay.
when such land is not available, so twice the area of degraded land, which will be a result of that, equivalent to that kind of amount will be given. So
Okay.
and that is a handsome money, and
Yeah.
it was underutilized in spite of all good intentions. So I
Yeah.
believe with this Nagar one, this fund will be utilized in a much more meaningful and productive way.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes it more progressive on the line that okay, there is a bit of development also taking place, but at the same time, yes, we are losing out on the aged trees, but more plants can come up over next 5 to 10 years. That's very interesting. So generally, when we're talking about afforestation on those lines and outskirts, the development what we are seeing is either those would generally be either agriculture land for any city or a forest land. Is there anything where what would, as we are expanding our boundaries and the penetration of cities or expansion of cities gets higher, what is the major conflict over there, that either to go for agricultural land or to go for forest land for the development purposes?
Well, most of the time, if you look at any system per se, you have settlements, you have beyond settlements, you have agriculture lands, then you have fringes of forest, and then you have forest.
Yeah.
So most of the time, what people do is they convert the nature of agriculture land onto commercial land. This
Hmm.
is what is happening across the country and even in many of the developing countries. So
Yeah.
first, the land has to be converted from agriculture land to commercial or all purpose land. So that conversion takes place, and in those lands you get to see newer expansion of settlements, and these things are taking place. But you have a very clear cut pocket of fringe areas also, which are vacant lands, and many a times these are with revenue departments, or these are the lands which are under conflict between revenue and forest departments. But
Okay.
because there are no trees, no forest, by
Yeah.
structure, so those lands are also taken in for urbanization kind of purposes. Like if
Okay.
you move towards Faridabad, Gurgaon, so you will get to see many of the agriculture areas have been converted to that, but there
Yeah.
were bands of fringes which have also been taken up for such type of activities.
Yeah. Okay. And I do believe over here that shifting a bit again, a city like Delhi has good amount of dedicated forest reserves as well. So there is Jahapana, there is Sanjay Van, and these are already good amount of pockets of forest. While not every city has those things, and they do suffer because of that, how can those cities, because already the urban expansion has happened a lot and now you can't develop forest within those boundaries, how can those cities develop such kind of areas where they can still benefit from such activities or just cooler environment, nothing more than that?
Well, for this, the concept of vertical forest has come into picture,
Okay.
wherein on the terraces and all along the buildings, people
Yeah.
are carving out green cover, and that is called as vertical forest. There are plenty of examples from Milan and Vienna and some other parts of the world. Some of the, like Sydney, in Australia,
Yeah.
wherein people have developed on the top of the building as a terraced forest, or even along the building, the vertical green cover is coming up. If
Okay.
you see in Delhi,
Yeah.
in some of the hotels, in the
Yeah.
outer walls of those hotels, they have created some kind of mechanism wherein green cover could be enhanced.
True.
So wherein the settlement is very dense. So
Yeah.
this could be one of the equipped manner in which green cover could be increased. So the concept of vertical forest is selling very well, and people
Okay.
are in getting to that.
Okay, but yeah, they have picked up a lot, especially I think with metros as well, because people have resisted seeing to those concrete pillars everywhere, and they want some more greenery on the road than that. So, what all other kinds of product or technology that is coming up in this sector, which is worth looking for in the future? I believe also from the lines of GIS, I think that would be a very major component here. So either for planting of forest or mapping of forest, what all kinds of new technologies that are coming up in this region?
Well, one of the things which people are looking at is, there is a rise in ambient temperature, which is called as urban heat island phenomena.
Yeah.
So, using techniques of remote sensing, many a times people try to, map those things, identify the hot spots,
Hmm.
and based on that, they try to carry out stratification wherein open spaces could be identified to compensate or to at least minimize that impact of ambient air temperature. So
Yeah.
therein technology is being used. Another thing is when you map the building footprints, you are
Yeah.
able to map the rooftops and identify the areas wherein potentially green cover could be or green cover exercise could be carried out, because we don't have a very uniform kind of structures.
Hmm.
When we look at settlements, you have very rough things in terms of the high-rise buildings and all. So identifying the locations wherein better amount of solar energy will be available and better
Yeah.
way green cover could be developed. So in those fronts, people are using surveying tools, right from remote sensing to on to the ground kind of surveying technologies. And along with this, there are a group of people who are more interested on to identifying the species which can grow very fast and which can provide better services
Yeah.
while competing with other set of species. So from a ecological perspective, looking at different environmental envelopes, people try to assess these things also, so that the purpose could be served in a very progressive manner. Location where it could be done, and you have ready-made solution which species are suitable to these locations. So such type of operational come professional activities are being carried out, which are enhancing the market of urban forest. It is a commercial word now. People are interested to have green cover in their immediate vicinity. So
Yeah.
they call people from urban planners, architects, or even from ecological come environmental backgrounds to advise on what could be done in the faster rates. So that
Okay.
is there.
Okay, that's very interesting. I have two questions on this line. First is, so while we are commercially, if this is becoming a market, should we see like more and more forests coming up now? Because apart from what the government is doing, because the idea is that if you see just more green cover, it's better to watch. And if people are paying for it, there is some kind of cost factor that has come into picture, which makes it viable for people to pick it up as well, right?
Well, to best of my understanding, in most of the metros, the urban dwellers have understood the fact that having a green cover in their immediate vicinity improves their health and well-being.
Yeah.
This is a clear-cut underlining understanding with urban dwellers. And in any of the forms, these urban forests are the spaces or places which can help us manage our mental health, improve our physical health. So that those kind of norms are well understood among the urban dwellers.
Yeah.
So looking at this kind of opportunity which is over there in
Yeah.
terms of demand, so research has actually indicated that by increasing the canopy cover in neighborhood by around 10%, one can very nicely create safe walkable spaces, and it can reduce obesity to the order of 20%. This
Oh,
is
wow.
I'm quoting these numbers from the research findings. So
Okay.
when you have these kind of quantitative outcomes
Yeah.
based on scientific research, so then people are actually very much interested to go for such kind of opportunities.
That's a very nice number to have, like with 10% of trees as well. If this could be the health impact, not just mentally but physically as well, that's a huge advantage or win for a lot of communities. Another question that was there on the follow-up was, so I come from a background of renewable energy and specifically solar installations. And we used to have one of them, like not a lot of people would understand, but the major issue with installation of solar on rooftop was shadows. So that is that a problem for growth of forest in urban or vertical forest per se? Because that would create an area or patch where there would not be any plants, and the other area where there will be lot many more plants.
Great. There is a difference between physics-based approaches and nature-based approaches. When
Yeah,
you talk about these solar panels, they
yeah,
have a limitation. The part of the roof which doesn't have fairly good amount of solar energy and which remains under shadow for slightly good amount of time throughout the day are not suitable for you. But for the
yeah.
nature-based solutions, there is a window of opportunity because there are some of the species which are not sun-loving.
Okay.
They can grow under shades. So
Okay.
this is the opportunity area wherein such type of species could be grown. So you remember I talked about site suitability or identifying,
Yes.
selecting the species which could be grown. So somewhere I was referring to this when I said about environmental envelopes. So there could be
Okay.
sun-loving plants, there could be shade-loving plants. So
Okay.
if for any reason, if half of the roof is under shadow, that could be taken up by the shade loving plants. So nature provides you all these kind of and opportunities and enhance and use the best of the thing which is around.
I guess that only applies when the person doing it is also as educated as this, because sometimes it's just as when you're doing business, you understand certain things where it's simple science. It's not too complicated, but at least the awareness about different things makes it much more important. That okay, you can plant two different types of species over there.
In fact, I will just add to this. One is what you said, having a awareness or local knowledge, those kind of things. But what we are seeing with urban dwellers is it is more of an attitude that
Hmm.
once they get into this, that I wish to carry out such kind of things. Whole range of literature over internet or other kind of blogs come services,
Yeah.
and people are sharing their experiences
Hmm.
and through these social networking websites and other kind of platforms. So there is an opportunity of learning, unlearning and relearning the things based on
Yeah.
your own experiments or based on experiences of people which you are networked with. So I see more of an attitude which is changing, and people are getting into that degree of awareness come knowledge to
Hmm.
apply these things. That
Okay.
is there.
And would you also say that the new concept of urban farming also falls under this forest itself, or at least vertical farming and things that comes up on the top of rooftop?
When we look into the concept of forest, so then the urban forest, which is there on land, that directly feeds into.
Hmm.
There is another exercise by Government of India only on ecological restoration, because it has committed somewhere around 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent kind of investment
Yeah.
in Paris Agreement. So to meet those, government is looking for such kind of newer forests which are coming up, or supporting or enhancing such type of initiatives. So
Hmm.
all tree covers, even beyond forest and also including urban forest, those are somewhere being getting accounted for that,
Hmm.
mitigating climate change. Plus the rooftop ones. And there are some of the examples wherein people are taking or trying to account their efficiencies in terms of carbon sequestration. So
Yeah.
if there are numbers which are making a significant difference, so those will
Yeah.
also be taken care within the broader definition of forest. However, what you see vertically along the buildings and all, I am not very sure about those, but I feel people might be interested to look into the services they are providing and trying to quantify those. That may happen anytime.
Okay. Okay. And coming to one of the last questions that we generally ask everyone is on the lines that if we want to enter this field, what are the kind of skill sets we are looking for? Like either mapping forest or planting forest in any urban or non-urban areas. I'll put it. I won't limit it to urban areas. What kind of skill sets are we looking for?
See, there are courses on urban development, there are courses on landscape management, there are courses on environmental studies and sciences and natural resource management. So the kind of urbanization which is taking place globally and which is
Yeah,
expected to take place in another 2 decades. So everybody is talking about, urban ecosystems.
yeah,
So now there are courses related to urban ecosystems and which are covering, these sub details, looking things from a ecological perspective, looking things from a planning perspective, and looking things from a geography perspective, so that
yeah,
integrated understanding could be developed. So these programs which I listed, these are in many of the universities in the country and elsewhere also, which are talking about urban ecosystem management, wherein these tools of remote sensing, GIS, surveying, and knowledge of ecology, environment, and also plantation, these kind of things are the built-in component,
yeah,
which makes one much better aware of the whole business of urban forestry, and then might get into somewhere understanding both physiological and sociological needs while contributing to the economic well-being of urban societies. So
yeah.
these courses are somewhere, filling the gap of capacity which is needed for enhancing these things.
Okay, that's great to know. I hope people who are interested in such kind of work can pursue those things and make a difference. If I have missed out of any point and you would like to cover it, please go ahead.
Uh, well, you have talked about everything, but and the word which we are living in, we have a very complex social fabric. So there are many of the insecurities, also social insecurities, which are there. So many a times people see urban forest as one of the threats to those kind of things.
Hmm,
If you get a degree of wilderness around. So
hmm,
I would just like to tell the audience that there is nothing of that kind. Urban forests are purely more managed landscapes. If you get to see any animal, or if you get to see any kind of threat to human safety, or um, uh, so those things are just myths which are moving around urban forest. Otherwise, with a good participatory approach, these can provide you wide range of ecosystem services, including your cultural services, religious services, as well as meeting the needs of societies otherwise.
that's true. I'll agree with that point. Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. This surely was a very interesting talk for me because not coming from the field, it's always fun to understand field from people who are already in the field. Thank you so much.
Many thanks. It was indeed pleasure talking to you.
You have been listening to Understanding the Future podcast. To know more about Climate Center for Cities, check out our website www.niua.org/c-cube. The show is conceptualized, produced, and edited by Punit Gandhi, Senior Associate at CQ. You can now subscribe to our podcast on your favorite channel, which can be accessed through the credits. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social media for more updates. Do share your reviews with us and help us spread the podcast to your friends and colleagues. Do write to us if you would be interested in learning about any specific topics. Thank you and stay tuned for our next episode.